Tell me about the dream physique that you have for yourself. Let's talk about the last program that you went on, whether it's a 30-day transformation or a 12-week transformation coaching, just whatever it was. Did you reach that ideal physique that you envisioned at the beginning of the program? It's very easy. We capture all this energy and excitement at the beginning, and everybody's super motivated. And while you're thinking that this program's going to be successful, nothing's going to get in your way of accomplishing that. But what ends up happening is at 20 days, we're bored with the 30-day routine. At week 9 out of 12, you don't quite look the way you thought you were going to look. So what's 3 more weeks going to do? The difference that separates people who fall drastically short of their goals, or people that are not content with the results, versus those that achieve their targets, their ideal physiques, and are able to sustain them, is simply a matter of mentality and a plan. And I would love to discuss and share with you today how I like to go about that. So what are the successful strategies that the elite physiques use? I'm going to move this camera around, so don't mind me. So SMART goal setting, okay? This is not my method, okay? I did not patent this. This came from Dr. Locke back in circa 1960. But basically this is a good parameter or a good basis or methodology. So when you're setting up your goals, is it specific? Is it measurable? Is it attainable, realistic, and timely? And we kind of want to dive into all that. Now, I will say it's nice and cute that we put the things that are SMART, but I don't necessarily believe that someone should plan this in this order. But for the sake of cleanliness, we'll discuss them in this fashion. So let's talk about the being specific. So you want to begin with the end in mind. Okay, I like to steal a quote from Dr. Covey with that. So really envision what it is that you expect to get out of that program. Now, I'm going to speak specifically from fitness and nutrition, and I'll also kind of share what my current plans are, what my goals are. That way we have something to kind of base us off of. So my current objective right now is a target in 2023. So right now is December of 21. My plans is, my desired end product is going to come to fruition in the summer of 23. So I really have to focus on what specifically I want to work towards, because in January, when it's still 18 months away, I can sit here and argue with myself that, well, I've got 17 more months if I just put off another month. It doesn't really matter. So you have to get specific in the beginning. Start with the end in mind. For me, I want to live and thrive at the stage of leanness just before going into prep. So if stage leanness is not sustainable for a multitude of reasons, and we can get into that, I want to be able to find my own personal individual limitations on where I can live and thrive and maintain a high quality of living that is with my gym performance, my hormones, my health, my sleep, recovery, and stress. Okay? So that is my end focus. I don't necessarily know what that means and what that is defined as. So since I can't yet define exactly what that is, I can define how that desired end state benefits me, or at least what I'm expecting to get out of the next 18 months. And that is to be able to enter a prep for a bodybuilding show on the most amount of calories with the least amount of activity required of me. Because what's not sustainable about being stage lean is the few calories that you're taking in and the amount of activity that is required to keep you that lean. Being in a dual career household with kids, you can imagine that I can't always maintain the effort that's required. So for you, whatever your goal is, let's keep a simple kind of weight loss goal of losing 50 pounds. You should, ahead of that goal, think about what is 50 pounds? Why is 50 significant? Why the number 50? Why not 40? What 60? What does that losing 50 pounds do for you? How does it benefit you? How does it improve your life? So envisioning the goal and really being able to see yourself obtain that goal and what that means for you. Spend a considerable amount of time, journal about it, and you really flesh out the detail of how your life is affected by achieving that goal. And that will help really kind of create the visionary process and create the mental picture for yourself, which is powerful. And then once you have that, being able to create the actionable plan, and we'll get into that the more we discuss some of these other factors. But once you've been able to see what that looks like, you should at least start being able to break down what is going to be required to lose 50 pounds. And then crushing the self-doubt. Again, the power of envisioning the future and seeing yourself. I mean, there's a lot to be said for self-talk and how powerful that can be. But honestly, I don't think anything is greater than just seeing yourself, understanding how that impacts you, and that creates a conviction. Understanding how that enriches your life, how it changes, and then you can kind of weigh the pros and cons. Is the effort worth the sacrifice? I'm assuming it is. That's why it's a goal of yours. And then removing the self-doubt. So there's always that question of, is this program going to work? Is this the most ideal program? How am I going to get through? And that's what we're going to do to be able to crush the self-doubt, is work through these other factors. But first, get as specific as you can. Understand how that's going to look on you and how you're going to feel once you've accomplished that goal. So beginning with the end in mind, and we kind of, again, just getting as specific as you can. So keeping with fitness, if you have a fitness goal, how much are you going to weigh? What clothes are you wearing? And some people like to go by dress sizes. Maybe they're a size 14 and they want to get down to a 4 or something. I don't care how outlandish it is or how extreme. Envision yourself in that way. Do you have a specific hip and waist ratio, or for men, the shoulder to waist ratio? Everybody wants that X frame, right? Get specific about it. Spend 10 minutes in research. Okay, what if you're a female? Is there a certain bust to waist and hip ratio that you want? Is it for men? You like having the shoulders, chest, and waist. Put all that together. And if you have to do a little bit of comparison, just kind of get an idea and do some research on what those numbers are, do that. Because then it's going to be so much more powerful when you're able to put those numbers together. But I will warn you, what you want to do is avoid comparison to the point where it becomes negative. Okay, we're not comparing ourselves to unrealistic physiques or people that don't even match our structures. And we want to avoid subjectivity. Make sure that your goal is not something as, I say shallow as in lacking definition and depth, I just want to be toned. Well, what does that mean? Is there a body weight attached to that? Is there a certain muscle that you want to be able to see? Because if your subjectivity lacks clarity and definition, then there's really no way to measure the success, which we're going to dive in when we get to the measurement part. But also, if it's how somebody else perceives you in clothing, there's no way to identify, and this is extremely important when you're struggling with consistency or when you're not motivated, because you will begin to settle for less when the energy is not there to go to the gym, or when there's temptation to go out and drink with the boys. All of a sudden, your conviction's going to be diminished because you'll accept what you're currently living with to satisfy the short-term, either lack of confidence or doubt, or just wanting to go indulge in something else. And then always keep it positive, making sure that however you're constructing this vision, that it's uplifting. In no way should this be destructive by any means. Should it tear down your self-worth? Because if it does, then you should probably spend time in, I don't want to say you might need a therapist, but honestly, if your self-worth is defined by how you look, then that's a problem of a different set. Fitness and nutrition is never going to solve that. If you think that losing 30 and 50 pounds is going to change the way that the world sees you and how you feel about yourself, then I think that you're pursuing this goal in vain means. So you're going to find that translated to body dysmorphia, that you're just never going to be happy, and then this could potentially lead to other eating disorders, or just a litany of issues, and where you're just never going to be satisfied. So make sure that how you see yourself and how that benefits you is positive. Does it increase your self-confidence? Absolutely. But if we're talking about self-worth or something that has very negative implications, check that and treat that as it should be. Okay. So measurement's most important. And the reason I say measurement's most important, because this is where a lot of people fail with compliance, because if we're prescribing a nutrition plan for you to be successful in your fitness goal, well, you have to be able to track what you're eating, which means that's going to affect how you perform and how your results are coming along. If you're not willing to track certain things, then you're never really going to know what's working or what's not working and how you're going to ensure that progress continues. So some of the first things, it's really easy to track, the body weight and what clothes you're currently wearing, but how do you want to continue to measure these things? So for me, what I find to be most successful is kind of a combination of everything, but it really depends on what your goal is. So make sure that how you want to track progress is congruent with your goal. So if you are strictly performance driven and you just want to bench a certain amount, or you want to run a 2 mile, or you want to improve on your service fitness test, and you don't care about aesthetics, you don't care about your body weight and all that, then these particular measurements may not matter. You know what I mean? But if it is an aesthetic, if it is a body composition, then are we really worried about, can you keep squatting 400 pounds while you're losing weight? So making sure that your mind stays focused on the metrics that matter as they are related to your goal. And then making sure that even the metrics that are being utilized are congruent with your goal. So if you are only driven by a body weight goal, say you're 185 pounds and you want to be 135, and you don't really care so much about what your body fat is at the end, or what your body measurements are, what your ratios are, then no worries, because then we don't have to worry about particular things. But if it's body composition improvement, then certain ratios are still being considered. Body fat might be considered. If it's a want to get toned goal and not necessarily want to get stage lean goal, then body fat is something that you still want to measure, because we want to keep a healthy level of body fat, so that you don't appear too muscular, or you're getting more lean than you're comfortable with, and then you have a negative association with your progress. But if it's body composition, which is a lot of the clients that I work with, body weight may not be the most significant marker for progress so much as body tape and skin caliper and progress photos. So make sure that what you're tracking is going to be evident of progress. And so make sure you have that conversation with your coach, or understand what it is that your end state is and what matters. So if you feel like you're currently overweight and you want to improve your body composition, your body weight could potentially not change much at all. You might be a ripped 185 even though you're overweight 185. I can show you pictures of myself where I'm 185 pounds and just kind of look like I work out, versus 183 pounds, and people think I'm 220 pounds because I'm just that lean and jacked in that composition. And then how the frequency of what you need to measure. Okay, so while stepping on the scale every day may not show a whole lot of progress, seeing it week to week, month to month, quarter to quarter, year to year, that's going to be the difference. And that goes across with your body tape measurements and skin folds and your progress photos of body fat. You may not see a lot of changes, immediately, or even in the short term. Think about it like a budgetary goal. If you're trying to save money and you can only start with $100 a month, it doesn't feel like a lot. And even at the end of the year, $1,200 doesn't feel like a lot, but it's still $1,200 more than you had, right? Same thing with body weight loss. If your goal is to lose 50 pounds, well, an optimal rate of loss is 1.5 pounds a week. And that's kind of at the top end of optimal. Now, again, this depends on how much weight you have to lose, but 1.5 doesn't feel like a lot over the week. I fluctuate 8 pounds in a day, but 1.5 pounds a week over the month. Now we're talking, 6 pounds? And if we continue that trend for 3 months, now we're talking 18 pounds, and that's the average. So we're taking the average of your body weight across the week. So your average body weight, well, one morning I'll weigh 204, the next I'll be 211. But if my average still moved 18 pounds, that's 18 pounds lost, okay? So make sure that you focus on the things that need to get measured and only focus on that. And understand that might change as your progress improves. And then, attainability. So putting it within reach. And I think this is where really what separates the successful and the compliant from the non, okay? Identifying the limitations and obstacles that exist in your timeline. So if we're losing 50 pounds, and that might take, let's say, an optimal rate of loss, 1.5 pounds a week, 32 weeks, right? 32, 34 weeks, let's just call it 32. Well, if we look at months, now we're talking 8 months. And there's going to be a lot of life to be experienced inside of 8 months. So in your personal and professional life, there should be things to consider here. So what you need to do is take 10 minutes, grab a notepad, and write down what all is occurring in those 8 months. Start planning for the expected. We always talk about planning for the unexpected. You can't plan for the unexpected. That's why it's unexpected. But you can plan for the expected. And then understand how that's going to affect your plan, or can it be mitigated? Or is it a reason to not pursue this goal at this time? So I don't know how many times I get potential clients who are married and they have a kid on the way. I don't mean to be rude and tell you how to live your life, but maybe nutrition and fitness goals are not your priority at the moment. Maybe you need to take care of mama bear and make sure that the baby's going to be fine. And then you have a huge life adjustment about to occur. And you don't know where Jim's going to fit there. So maybe just go in maintenance mode and not worry about nutrition and fitness. But if we can talk about it, we can mitigate it. All right. Maybe she doesn't have a job. Maybe you have enough income. Maybe you don't work 80 hours a week like a lot of other people. Do these things affect you? No, maybe not. Okay. So everyone's situation is different. But how's it going to affect you either way? And then what modifications might you need to make? So if you've been working out after work and you've got a new baby at home, guess what? It might make more sense for you to work out at 4 a.m. Now you have to ask yourself, is that something that is sustainable? Maybe, maybe not. So does this need to be a goal for your life at the moment, or is there another way to achieve it? And that's what we mean by the mitigation. And if you have a good coach, if you seek a good person, someone can help you work through this and make this an individual plan for your success. And then do you require external support? Again, employment tends to be kind of the big, talking point here. For example, if I'm wanting to compete in the summer and fall of 23, well, fortunately, I'm in a position where I know where I'm going to be at that time. We're supposed to travel in that month of November. So if I want to be able to compete in the month of November, either I have to take the time off of work, or I better just go ahead and make the plans that I'm going to miss certain shows in that time period. So take the time and really put these things into consideration, and then understand how it's going to affect your compliance. And then is your goal realistic? Is this real life, right? So let's address the breaking points before they become breaking points. No one wants to get 29 days into a transformation challenge and then realize that this is all for naught. So one big thing is your external limitations. If your 50-pound weight loss goal might require you to work out 6 times a week, or really cut back on how you eat and how you approach nutrition. Are certain grocery stores available to you? Are commercial gyms available to you? Anything that's not outside of your direct influence, are you able to consider that factor, or is it something that doesn't exist for you? Big thing is physical limitations. We can get into the genetic argument. I don't want to talk about who is genetically predisposed to certain diseases or whatnot. But what I think a lot of people do is they compare the physiques of iconic bodybuilders and say, I want to look like that. Well, okay, you're not 6'3", you're 5'8". And people still argue about the ectomorphic, mesomorphic body types, but your musculature may not be that way. Like, you may not be able to ever develop the chest that you want because you have different muscle bellies, right? Your fiber type's different. You want to be able to deadlift 800 pounds. Well, you're genetically predisposed to a different fiber type, and it's just maybe not in the cards for you. So is there a genetic or a physical limitation there? Is there an injury that's going to alter how your plan needs to be constructed, or can it even be complied with? Completely put all those into consideration. And this is why I'm not a huge fan of subscription programs or plug-and-play programs, because it doesn't take people's limitations into consideration. And some people honestly need something that's individualized. And then there's the matter of influence versus control. And when we're talking about what's realistic, a lot of people will identify an obstacle or something that might impact their ability to achieve the plan. And then they need to understand, is this something that kind of just influences how the plan gets accomplished or actioned, or is it out of your control and it now completely obfuscates your ability to do so? Some people will identify an obstacle and just kind of throw their hands up, but that's not necessarily the case. So make sure you're doing deliberate diligence there in ensuring that is this a matter of influence or total control. And then finally, getting into the time piece. And there's this whole delusion of time. And this is, I think, where people really get hung up and they destroy their own ability to achieve something. Because for some reason, we all think, and I'm going to jump to the last point first, that time's not on your side, that for some reason it's a 30-day transformation and we didn't get there in 30 days, or it's a 12-week plan and I don't look the way I wanted to look in 12 weeks. Unless you're, not even unless, okay, if I'm competing on a stage and I'm working against a timetable, okay, but is that necessarily my last show? Is this the last shot I got? Or what exists to put a finish line on your goal? It doesn't. Okay, what you need to identify or understand is that everybody's a little different. While things might calculate that, hey, losing 1.5 pounds a week will take 32 weeks for you to lose 50 pounds. Well, you might experience that at week 16, you stop losing weight. Matter of fact, you start gaining weight, even though everything's the same. There are individual responses to certain modalities and methodologies that need to be, considered and planned for. And understand that sometimes things just take a little bit longer or don't always go according to plan. But get rid of the kind of start date, finish date mentality of this goal. And I think that's why so many people give up on themselves, because they put it in their mind that I can lose this amount of weight in 12 weeks and this is how I should look. And when they're not there at week 8, week 9, and they realize that 3 more weeks isn't going to make a huge difference, they start accepting this state of futility, that it's not a goal that they can accomplish and is worth pursuing. And honestly, that's completely unrealistic. It's not fair. And it's just not necessary. So what can you do to beat that? Well, you have to reverse plan, and you got to develop phases, subphases, and create an actionable plan to get you there. And that 32-week plan, okay, so in eight months, something is going to occur. So let's plan for the expected and add 4 weeks. And then nothing ever goes the way you want it to. So let's just go ahead and add another 20%. So we're already at 10 months. Let's just create the expectation of 10 months to lose 50 pounds. Is that necessary? No. I've seen people lose 50 pounds in 3 months. Is that realistic and doable for everybody? But where time can really be of your benefit is setting the short-term and long-term targets and setting up timelines. Again, not so much as a finish line, but we are all kind of motivated by time, right? If our idea is, hey, I want to lose, I'm currently 150 pounds, I want to be 135 by the end of the month. Okay, well, what do you need to do to be able to achieve that and start setting up time? So if we're losing 1.5 pounds a week, then put it in your calendars. Create ways to measure your progress on a time scale and make sure that you're staying true to the plan. And again, a good coach is going to be able to discern, is this a realistic timeline? Is this an unrealistic timeline? And then if we are not accomplishing these timetables and these targets, what other factors might be affecting that? You know what I mean? So if we're not losing 1.5 pounds a week and 3 weeks go by and you're just stalling and you're not seeing any progress, well, we can always adjust the timeline and the targets in the short term and long term targets and review any contributing factors that might be affecting your progress. But definitely use those to your benefit as a motivator. But, for many people, sometimes all we really need is just validation, right? I understand not everybody needs coaching, and I'm not here to coach everybody, nor can I be, and I'm probably not the perfect coach for everybody. But if you have questions on a certain program, something that you want to run, a different type of diet, or you just want to know, hey, is my goal realistic for my body structure? Is this realistic for my time? Or you just need somebody to sit down and help you plan out your plan. I would love to help you do that. Anytime. I just try to make myself available to anybody by any means necessary. If you are looking for coaching or you want a program, DM me, give me a shout, or you can always apply at lgnclub.com to get premium individualized coaching where we do custom nutrition plans, custom workout plans. I say I will build everything. We're going to sit down, do a consult. We're really going to put everything together the way that I've talked about it here, where we're going to look at what your specific end target is. We will develop a plan and a timeline for what is realistic and what's attainable. And we'll review your life over the next few weeks or months, however long it's going to take, and identify, hey, here's some planning considerations. That way you're successful and you learn all the skills and tools needed to be able to sustain that. Once we're done, you'll never need me again. I'll be the last coach that you ever need. So, good luck to you in your fitness goals. Again, hit me up if you have anything. I'd love to be a benefit to you.